We're going to talk about the worst things about living in Portland. Personally, I'm kind of an optimist, and so it's hard for me not to popcorn back and forth between the good and the bad. Today, I'm going to force myself to focus on the negative side of things.
This is the 10 worst things about Portland. We moved here 3 years ago ourselves, so we know what it's like to move from another state here to Portland, Oregon. So if you have any questions, please feel free, reach out, give us a call. We're helping people all the time who are thinking about moving to Portland. All right, let's get into it. We're here in Selwood, Westmoreland area, and this is one of the residential streets. It's a beautiful day. It's still winter, almost coming on springtime, but it's awesome outside, about 50 degrees, enjoying the sunlight today.
Since we're talking about the worst things about living here, I think it's helpful for you to know where else we've lived, because this is all relative. I grew up in Arizona, spent most of my adult life in Southern California between Orange County and Los Angeles. I also spent some time in Northeast Portland and San Francisco.
Originally from New York myself, I've lived everywhere from England to Kansas to Texas to Arizona to California, and now in Oregon and loving it.
Okay, so this first one's kind of a gimme. One of the worst things about living in Portland is there is too much good coffee and craft beer. And you know, you can only drink so many of those things and still feel good.
And function and do your job well, right?
Yeah, and there is a strategy, like you might have share a craft beer in the afternoon and then have a coffee to lift yourself back up, or you might have too much coffee and then need a good beer to sort of mellow yourself out. But you know, beyond
And I definitely implement that strategy. Coffee in the morning, maybe a beer in the afternoon if you're not doing a lot, and then another coffee right after that around 3 o'clock.
But the truth is there's just too much good, too much high quality of both, and you're not going to be able to partake in all of it. This is such a beautiful street, and this is not one of the worst things about living in Portland, that you can just happen upon a beautiful street with a view of downtown, and we're right along the river right here.
Wow. Yep, there's a hawk there looking for dinner or lunch, which we're going to go eat sushi today right after this video, and we'll take you guys along at the very end to check it out. One of the worst things, weather. Weather in Portland, yes, is rainy and cold and kind of dreary and cloudy, mainly in the winter. So you never know what kind of year you're gonna get. Part of the fall into the winter and into just a little bit of the springtime is gonna be that rainy, drizzly, overcast type of weather. But you never know what kind of year you're gonna get. And here's a beautiful day here towards the end of the winter. And yes, it's a little cold, but you know what? Clear blue skies, and it's beautiful out. And you're gonna get a lot of those sprinkled all throughout. So I don't wanna make it too rosy because this is the worst video, but that is one of the worst things about Portland. It is cold and rainy.
I think even worse for me than the rain is how dark it is in the winter. So, you know, we're further up in the northern hemisphere, and the days are short in December and January, and when it's super overcast and it's a short day, it just feels like you don't get any light. And to me, that's actually a little bit worse than the rain.
And here's some new build townhomes right here. These are cool, they're nice, very typical for this area. Getting the 3-story, they go up, smaller lots, build a build up. You'll see a lot of those in Portland.
Especially in the close-in, we're in the close-in southeast right now, where, you know, it's a higher density area. There isn't really room to build, so they're building up.
Oh, and this is where the guy lives where I bought my used electric bike, right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Get ready to not feel hip anymore when you move here, because there are so many people that are gonna be cooler than you. Not that I ever thought I was like the hippest person in LA or any time in my life, but
You're looking pretty hip today.
oh, thanks, honey. Portland is very hip. People are so artistic, and that brings such like a wonderful element to the city, but you might not feel as artsy or hip or cool as you hope.
All right, on to the next. This might sound like a strange one, but confusing freeway exits. What? Confusing freeway exits? That sounds really strange, but you know what? There's a lot of freeway exits here that go not only to the right, like I feel is normal, but also to the left.
With no warning. And there are so many bridges, so you have to make sure you're in the correct lane, because the bridge may be to your right, but the left lane is the one getting onto the bridge. And so you don't have a lot of warning, and you just kind of have to learn as you go.
That's right. Using your app for your maps is key, but even with that, I find unless I kind of know already that it's coming up and I've looked at it, sometimes you'll just totally miss it, and then you'll end up going over a bridge to the other side, and it's going to take you an extra 5-10 minutes to turn around. And you know what? No big deal.
That has
the
totally
scenery is beautiful.
That has totally happened to me.
That happens to me all the time.
Give yourself a little extra time and try to be lighthearted about it.
So it is a thing, confusing exits.
Okay, the next one is, I think that Portland tends to have a little bit lower salary levels than other cities on the West Coast. And obviously that's going to depend on what you do for work, and it may be less of an issue now post-pandemic when so many people are able to work remotely for companies all around the US, all around the world. But historically, you are going to see lower salaries here in Portland. And unfortunately, those lower salaries go along with
higher income tax. Yes, Oregon ranks up there in one of the higher states for income tax compared to a lot of the others. But you know what? This is not a video about butts, but I'm going to throw it in there. There's no sales tax. So I feel like that really does help even that out a little bit. But you know what? It's still one of the worst things about the state, high income tax. Another worst thing about Portland, you can't pump your own gas. Yes, I said that right. You cannot pump your own gas. And you know what? I actually love it. But I'm putting it on this list anyways, because when I first moved here, I thought it was one of the worst things, but I quickly realized it actually is one of the secret best things about Portland. So you can't pump your own gas, and a lot of people really like that because it's a control thing. But you know what? Sometimes you have to sit there and you have to wait for the attendant to come over, especially if there's other cars there before you. But when it comes to the winter time, you're gonna love this aspect about it because you don't get out of your car. Someone else is gonna pump that gas, and you're not gonna get wet, you're not gonna get cold. So just be patient and sit there for one of the worst things about Portland. You cannot pump your own gas. And a lot of people say, oh, am I supposed to tip or not tip? You know what? You do not have to tip, but it is appreciated. So what I implement is if I have a few singles or a 5 on me every now and then, or it's a holiday, I'm gonna give them a big tip. And that's just kind of how I take it. And I usually go to a handful of the same gas stations anyways, so that's how I do it. This is high up on my list, one of the worst things about Portland, moss. It grows everywhere, especially on your roof and on your sidewalks and on your driveway. Now, it depends on if you have a lot of shade. If you have a lot of tree shade, it's gonna grow even more, especially on your roof or on your driveway. So get a power washer for the driveway or your sidewalks, and that'll take care of it. And on the roof, they have companies here that specialize in cleaning roofs. And one of the main things is from moss. So that's just an added expense you're gonna have to be prepared to do to save the longevity of your roof.
One of the best things about living in Portland, and this is not a best of Portland video, but one of the best things is how beautiful the Oregon coast is. It is stunning.
Amazing.
However, it's cold. Like, pack your winter clothes even in August when you're going to the coast. And you know, that's not to say there aren't beautiful days. It's often, you know, beautifully 60 degrees, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful. But like, we just bought our daughter a little wetsuit for swimming lessons, and you can bet she'll be wearing that at the beach in the summertime in Oregon.
And last year we went for 2 weeks, one at the beginning of summer and one towards the end of the summer. and booked an Airbnb and just spent a whole week there, and it was amazing.
Here at Satin Beach.
The first week that we went there, it was cold, and we were kind of bundled up and a little more overcast. And then the second week we went, it was really nice and warm almost the entire time. You never really know what you're gonna get, but just be prepared, you layer up. That's kind of how you gotta roll with Portland. Real estate prices are climbing very fast. And I know it's the same across all the cities. Here we are in March of 2022, and prices have gone up like 20% year over year and 12% the year before that. So in the last couple of years, our prices are up 30% plus or minus, depending on where in the city you're looking at. And there's just not a lot of home building in general, so it really pushes the prices up and up and up. So it's very important, if you're looking to buy in Portland, reach out to me and we can get a strategy in place. I have a lot of really good strategies to finding you a house. I'm very confident I could find any of my clients a house if they're willing to be patient enough and implement a few different strategies.
Okay, this was the 10 worst things about living in Portland. We love it here. Like Aaron said, we moved here about 3 years ago. We love helping other people who want to move here and find their right pocket of the city to call home. The nature, the beauty, the people, the art, the lifestyle. There is so much to love about Portland. We wanted to just throw out some of the downsides so that you really know what you're getting into. But if you have any questions or want to go deeper, please reach out. Okay, we're gonna go grab some sushi for lunch. Aaron has been sushi deprived. We've had 2 babies in a few years. You're not supposed to eat sushi when you're pregnant. It's been a rough go for him, plus the pandemic. So we're gonna go have some sushi.
2 years of no sushi, it's a crime. All right, everyone, see you on the next one.